So for the people out there who do not know, Caitlin Clark was just named Time Magazine Athlete of the Year. And of course, there are people on the internet who are divided based off of why she won it and the things that she said in this article in Time Magazine. But before we get into all the drama and debacle, I want to take the time out and to acknowledge Caitlin Clark and congratulate her. Originally, I was going to make a video on this channel talking about the NBA viewership continuously plummeting and some of the hot takes that I've seen on why this is occurring over the past week and a half. I probably will continue to make that video, but at the core, I was going to really discuss and talk about how the lack of stardom is really a problem in the NBA and how Caitlin Clark individually not only potentially has saved the league, but you could very well argue outside of LeBron, KD, and Curry, she is the most viewed, entertaining, intriguing, interesting basketball player around the world. Regardless of league, gender, size of basketball, it doesn't really matter. Caitlin Clark and the viewership that she brought to TV with the WNBA is better than practically 99% of NBA teams right now as well. So shout out to Caitlin. She deserves every single last part of it. In the article written by Times, though it is a very lengthy one, it's still really, really interesting. I read about most of it. And by the time I got done with it, I really started to realize how stupid a lot of people are when they're discussing what she said in this article and the monstrosity that has really blown people away. Like, oh my God, how dare you? Now, for those who may not be aware of what exactly I'm talking about, before we actually get into the clips themselves, I do want to highlight the quote that is in question right now. I want to say I've earned every single thing, but as a white person, there is privilege. A lot of those players in the league that have been really good have been black players. This league has kind of been built on them. The more we can appreciate that, highlight that, talk about that, and then continue to have brands and companies invest in those players that have made this league incredible, I think it's very important. I have to continue to try to change that. The more we can elevate black women, that's going to be a beautiful thing. There's a lot of things that's flowing through my mind right now. And what's crazy is, and it's really, really sad, is that everything that I kind of knew was going to happen ended up happening. And unfortunately, once more, the chatterbox from both sides of this terrible conversation is taking away from a really, really great moment.
Caitlin Clark gets honored in Time as the Athlete of the Year. I don't know. I guess they need a lot of covers or something. I mean, whatever. They just want people who are going to sell their shitty magazine.
Oh, Megan, you're so you're so funny. It's not as if like they've been doing this for years now, but oh, Megan.
What does Caitlin Clark do? This woman who's a superstar. She's the Michael Jordan of the WNBA, and she's become a phenom in part because the players of the WNBA can't fucking stand her because she's white. Absolute racism.
To sit there and say that part of the reason why she's a superstar and a phenom is because of the hate that's in the WNBA is dumb. She had this following before she got into the league, and the numbers that she was doing is very consistent with what she was doing in college. That makes absolutely no sense. You wouldn't know that though, because you actually don't give a damn about anything that has to do with sports. You do nothing more but fearmonger. But we'll continue and I'll further prove that point.
So she gets this honor. And all she has to do is continue staying above it. Thank you. I'm grateful. Love being in the WNBA and I love my colleagues. That's it. Instead, she decides to go racial. And what she says is she feels the need to acknowledge her white privilege. Basically, she's sorry she's white. And then she makes a point of saying the ones we really need to be celebrating are the black women on whose backs this league was built, which I have to tell you is so condescending.
It really
It's
is.
true that most of these black women have been bullying her and want her to understand it's their league. Hello, you don't own the league. Blacks don't own the league, just like whites don't own tennis or golf. Nobody owns the league.
Ooh, boy, this right here is going to be a very long video. I can already feel it. You all heard the quote that I said. I don't necessarily know if you got that feeling from it at all. I certainly didn't. It felt as if like there was an acknowledgement that yes, there were some women who were black who played before that you would have to elevate if the end goal would be to benefit the WNBA at large. It can't just exist off of one player, because when that one player no longer exists, isn't playing or retires, then the entire infrastructure falls apart. Something that the NBA is dealing with right now. So this idea that you should not take the time out and to acknowledge and applaud all the people that came before her is dumb. You can go back and look at several interviews where Michael Jordan, when asked about who he is as a player, is he the GOAT? He pauses and stops to acknowledge the people that came before him. Kobe Bryant does that. LeBron does that. Magic Johnson did that. Larry Bird did that. Several people have done this already. But what really blows my mind is how in the fuck could you sit there and read that entire article and come away with that conclusion of that article? The reason why I made sure I really highlighted to you how long that article was for you to understand that anyone taking away that one quote out of that article is someone who is obsessing over race. There is over 6,500 words in that article. The quote in which Megyn Kelly is talking about right now is about 100 words. We are quite literally talking about 1% of the article that you are now trying to make it seem like that was the entire identity of the article. What's even crazier is that, again, before she even got to the part that you are obsessing over, she acknowledged that she deserved and earned everything that is given to her. So to sit here and to fearmonger, rage bait people into reacting to something that isn't that significant, we're talking about 1% of the article. Are you fucking serious?
But they want her on the knee. You'll bend the knee and you'll apologize for being white, and you will suck up to the black women who built this league before you, or you will be beaten, you will be assaulted, and you will be bullied with no friends.
Do y'all hear this shit? You'll be beaten. You better get down on that knee, girl. Get out on that knee. Oh my God. The fact that there's old fucks who sit there and watch this shit and eat it up. Oh my God.
It's such a preposterous thing to claim somebody has privilege in a competition of athletics. And not to mention the fact that, like, you would never say something like that about the NBA, you know, where there are hundreds of black superstars paid millions and millions of dollars. And oh, by the way, that NBA subsidizes the entire WNBA, right? So, and she's walking around talking about her white privilege.
Jesus Christ, there's so many dumb things that were just said right there. But the biggest thing is this. The privilege that she's receiving, of course, isn't showing up in a box score. No one is sitting here saying that she's privileged, and that's the reason why she scored 30 points. That's not what we're saying. We're saying is that there's been other people who scored 30 points before in WNBA game, and you all didn't care as much. And part of the reason why is because of the fact that she is white in a predominantly white country. I am black. I do not watch tennis nor golf unless Venus and Serena was playing or Tiger Woods. To deny it is so idiotic and dumb, and framing it the way that you just did, just dumb.
I don't remember Serena Williams apologizing for her blackness in tennis, which had been dominated mostly by whites. I don't remember Tiger Woods apologizing for his blackness in the PGA, which was dominated by whites.
And guess what? She didn't apologize for her whiteness either. She just acknowledged the fact that she's getting a large fan base in some part because of her whiteness. That's it. There was no apology in there at all. Also, I think it's funny that Megyn Kelly is talking about Venus, Serena, and Tiger Woods, and I just sat there and told you that as a black person, no, there were more black people watching the sport of tennis and golf because it was being dominated by someone of color. It was definitely more relatable to see someone that reflects our skin tone playing the sport. That's why more people started to watch it that normally wasn't watching it. The same thing happens in the NBA. Part of the reason, the selling point of Michael Jordan and Kobe Bryant and LeBron James is, of course, their skill set and how dominant they are, but also these are handsome looking men who play entertaining styles of basketball. You can't be ugly and non-funny and just be a bore and also get viewership, regardless of how dominant you are. Jokic is in a league shown to a dominantly American fan base. Part of the obstacle that he has to overcome is knowing for the fact people are not going to relate to him because he's not American. And also he plays a game that many people view as boring. These are things that are facts. Now, should it play the biggest role? No, but it is a factor. Of course it is. It's a factor, of course.
You think about Time Magazine, they don't care about sports. It's a religious tract for the left-wing lunacy in this country. What they care about is driving their politics forward. There are thousands of athletes who have had great years that they could highlight if they cared about highlighting a top athlete. Caitlin Clark is one of them. Naming her really strikes me as something that was negotiated between her PR agent and Time Magazine, where the agreement was she would say what the left wanted to hear, and in exchange, she's named athlete.
Well, this is the...
Do you know how fucking stupid that is? I love it when people get on the internet and they have like this big brain, small, dumb brain theory that they have in their mind. Like, the reason why she got it, first we acknowledge that she deserved it. Now all of a sudden we're going to sit here and say, no, she only got it because her PR team and Time Magazine got together and forced her to say something. The left wing wanted her to get on a knee before he beat you up. If you actually cared, you would have known she said this before.
Dreamed of being in this moment. Maya Moore was my favorite player growing up. She played for the Minnesota Lynx, and not only was she a great basketball player, she was a great individual.
I'm sure it will be a big first step for me. But it's just one step for the WNBA. Thanks to all the great players like Cheryl Swoops, Lisa Leslie, Cynthia Cooper, the great Dawn Staley, and my basketball hero, Maya Moore. These are the women that kicked down the door so I could walk inside. So I want to thank them tonight for laying the foundation.
So this isn't this new belief that, oh, now that I got in the WNBA and I got beaten up and scratched in my eye and the black women just bent me over the knee and just started beating the shit out of me. Now I'm forced to say it. No, she said it before she even got in the WNBA.
We all kind of grew up in a social atmosphere where you just didn't think of people in white buckets and black buckets. And like all my heroes were young black athletes. And I never thought about that.
Yeah, when I watched Family Matters, it wasn't like, oh, I'm watching the black sitcom. them.
Yeah.
You know, like you never
Oh.
thought about that as a kid.
And the fact that you as a white man is saying that you never thought about that is further proof of your white privilege. Because the fact that you can escape the idea that there hasn't been any sports activism when you were growing up, I have no idea what world you lived in, but that's not true at all. The irony that you would even bring up Venus and Serena when they quite literally boycotted a Masters tournament due to racial insensitive talking points that were being spewed towards them in, I think it was like the late 90s or the early 2000s. Hi there, it's me in Post. Now, unfortunately, there was a portion of this video that my editor didn't deem necessary to make the final cut, so he took it out. However, after me rewatching the video, I deemed it necessary to make sure that he put it back in the video, but then after that, I really didn't feel like my point was getting across correctly, so I then decided to re-record it, and here we are. Now, what exactly I deem it necessary for me to re-record? To the people out there who may get upset about the things that I said in the first half of this video, trust me, I understand. You probably believe that I'm pandering, I'm pushed to this liberal mind state, and I'm just bending at the knee the same way that Caitlin Clark did to the woke media. And to those people, I thoroughly understand, and to them, I want to make sure that you understand that you need to shut the fuck up. And I don't give a fuck. Now, the reason why I say it is because it is crazy to me how big-brained you think you are, but it's nothing more but small, insignificant, puny thoughts. The fact that you all can be triggered and rage-baited so much so from 100 words in a 6,500 word article. The people who push this propaganda and these talking points, they know that you're not going to read the article in totality. If you do, you will clearly understand, bro, the article is nothing more, and I do mean nothing more, but a bunch of self-congratulatory talking about Caitlin Clark's backstory and really uplifting who she has been as an athlete at large. Again, 1%, and I'm not even joking, it is literally 1% of the article does not dictate the entire tone of what was being discussed in the article. And if you don't believe me, take the time out to read it. I know for a fact many of you all are not going to do that because, I mean, God forbid you do. And because of this, they already know what they need to push to you, to trigger you, to get you upset, and they do it so effortlessly that it's practically done through a script. Now, many of you are going to sit here and say, well, no, it had the same woke media. You're absolutely right. You're right. Both sides truly believe that they've got things figured out. Everything is this big, complex concept that you can't even function. So I have to sit there and tell you with my big brain, small thoughts theories on why exactly they're trying to sit here and manipulate you. It's two sides of the same coin. Now, many of you all sit here and say, but look, it's a script. They're pushing propaganda. You think it's that easy? Yes, I do. I know this because they have been triggering people on this platform quite literally with scripts. And these scripts are being pushed and read by ChatGPT bots, AI.
Caitlin Clark has become the face of women's basketball in America, but not everyone is cheering for her. In fact, there's one player who has made it clear she's not thrilled about Clark's success, Angel Reese. The rivalry between Caitlin Clark and Angel Reese can be traced back to the 2023 NCAA championship game.
This is such AI bot rage bait content. Not only is the information old, you would assume that this video was like produced like 8 months ago. No, this video just came out 2 days ago. The owner has disabled the dislikes. And if you go to the channel, oh, it looks like it's a basketball channel where you have because they have the basketball. No. As you can see, story time with Otis. And if you go back to the Otis video, it's children content. Also, another dead giveaway is that the thumbnails are the exact same with all of these videos. I mean, it is quite literally just red square round breaking with a white box surrounding a quote. It is literally the exact same thing on all of these channels. And because how easy it is, how much many of you all are programmed to easily be triggered just like that, it's so easy that they have automated script writers and in having ChatGPT read it to you. Think about how programmed you have to be. Think about how simple-minded they think of you, that they can sit there and have a bot, ChatGPT, tell you the same talking points, and here you go in the comment section, you're right! You're trying to take the sports away from us! Think about that. Really, really ponder that. So before you sit here and say, oh, it's the woke media, they're pushing it, yet for whatever reason, you are falling for the same thing. Now, to the other side of it, you got Sheila Johnson, who's a co-owner of the Washington Mystics, who had some of the most preposterous things to say about this article, claiming that the entire WNBA should have been on the cover of the magazine.
It has taken the WNBA almost 28 years to get to the point where we are now. And this year, something clicked with the WNBA, and it's because of the draft of the players that came in. It's just not Caitlin Clark. We have so much talent out there that has been unrecognized, and I don't think we can just pin it on one player. Last night, we read Time magazine. Caitlin Clark was named Athlete of the Year. Why couldn't they have put the whole WNBA on that cover and said the WNBA is the league of the year?
And this right here is also stupid. It is okay to acknowledge that one entity is having a significant influence on the viewership and everything that's going on in the league at large. It is fine to acknowledge it, especially when, and I talk about this over and over again when it comes to this topic, when it comes to the toxicity and all the bad things that comes along with having a larger fan base and a viewership. All of that blame somehow gets given to Caitlin Clark and her fan base. But when it's time to talk about the viewership, oh, everyone's doing it. Everyone's contributing. We got to make sure it's equal, but it's not equal. It's not. So much so to Miss Sheila Johnson, co-owner of the Washington Mystics, 31% of the Mystics' total home attendance for the entirety of the 2024 season came from just the 2 games against the Indiana Fever with Caitlin Clark. A third, basically. A third of your home attendance came from just 2 games where Caitlin Clark participated in. To even dare fathom and ignore what she has been providing to this association and not reward her accordingly is dumb. It makes absolutely positively no sense. But again, and what's so frustrating is that when you have this big brain, small thoughts ideology, you push this idea because you know for a fact the people who you're pushing it to, they're not going to actually read the article in its totality, because if you did, you would see numerous of times the representation across the league is felt, not only with current players, but players of the past. There are several players who are highlighted and identified and praised throughout that article. So to present this idea like the representation isn't there is completely irresponsible. Saying something this idiotic does nothing more but further fuel the other side of the coin. But honestly, I'm ready to put that motherfucker down and move on. Stop allowing these people to dictate the conversation that's happening at large with Angel Reese, Caitlin Clark, and the WNBA at large. There's way too much good that's happening right now for this to continue to be talking points. Okay? Like, it's just way too much. But the people sitting here saying, oh, I'm just not gonna watch anymore. Trust me, I can tell from you discussing the sport, you weren't watching. You weren't watching. If this right here is what makes you stop watching, you weren't watching in the first place. You weren't. If you sit here and believe that Caitlin Clark's the best player in the league, you weren't watching then. So you saying you stopped watching, the viewership isn't gonna change because you never were really watching in the first place. Never in my life did I stop watching a sport that I love because someone's social or political views differed from mine. Never. I never did that. You're not a real fan of the sport. Shut the fuck up. But yo, those are my thoughts. Yeah, I had to re-record that part because all of that is getting kept in. But until next time, I'll see you all later. Peace.